And that's what it's all about, man. These guys have to get that opportunity. I thought, shoot, what do I have? My record shows 60 something fights. I have closer to 90 fights but I never fought for $1 million. And in my entire career, you combine everything. I don't think everything adds up to $1 million. These guys have the opportunity to do that in 5 fights. That's a big deal. This could possibly change the game. And one of the things I've heard from a lot of other fighters, high level fighters, is, are they going to be able to pay that $1 million? Yes, they are. That money is secured. And when a lot of these other high level fighters see that the number 32 or the number 28th ranked fighter in the world made $1 million, and they haven't made $500,000 in their entire career, a lot of guys are going to be enticed by that, and they're going to put their name in the hat to try and get themselves that opportunity.
Yeah, and just speaking of this $1 million, so I'm gonna pull up right now the UFC career earnings. So there is only in the history of the UFC, let's see, there's only been 115 guys that have made $1 million. There's all that. That's not a lot of guys. Chris Lieben has not made $1 million. Rose Namajunas has not yet made $1 million. Kelvin Gastelum has not made $1 million. Rafael Assunção has gone 11-1 in his last 12 fights. He's still under the $1 million threshold. Melvin Gillard, Chris Lytle, the list goes on. It's a rarity to make $1 million in the sport. There's gonna be 6 guys on here that make $1 million. I go up this list. Yeah, Nick Diaz has made $1 million, but he's only made $1.1 million. Nick has been in huge wars. CM Punk made $1 million. Kevin Lee has $1 million. Josh Barnett made.
Wait. I get that he's a famous pro wrestler or whatever, but CM Punk made $1 million in the UFC.
I think he got 500 for both of his fights.
I'm disgusted.
Yeah. So when we look at this list compared to this, the great thing about the PFL is, one, they just got a huge influx of money. Mark Burnett, Kevin Hart, and a bunch of other top investors. So they got $28 more million. And I know they already had funding secured for next season. So they have money. Now you're going to see a lot of guys try to come over from the UFC to try to get money when the end goal of a person's career is to make money for their family. Guys are going to come over here. Yes, the UFC is the brand that everyone knows, but this is a way to get some big stars over, and it's money that's earned.
Yeah, you're rewarded at the PFL for what you do inside the cage. You're rewarded at the PFL for what you do when it comes to fighting, not for what you do when it comes to social media, not for what you do and how well you can talk in front of a microphone. That stuff, of course, helps in any regard, but that should help in the matter of sponsorships and everything else. But right now, the way the UFC is set up, it truly doesn't even encourage sponsorships for fighters, because you can't do anything when you're under the UFC's banner. When you're in a UFC activity, you can't do anything that's not Reebok associated, and that could become a problem. It has been a problem. Fighters have complained already, and it's one of those things where, if you go long enough, the complaints kind of stop. And but fighters still aren't happy about it. A lot of fighters still aren't. And given the opportunity to come over here and make $1 million, given the opportunity to come over here and represent another brand at the same time, I hope fighters see this, because fighters. This is one thing that I believe has changed over time and wasn't really the focus during my run as a fighter. But fighters are the product. That's it. That's the bottom line. Fighters are the product, and without the product, you have no sales.
Yep.
And fighters have to remember that, and they have to know who they are and realize that no matter what somebody else tell you your value is, you know, you are still the product. Coca-Cola is not selling sodas if if they don't have the all the ingredients to the sodas. Well, fighters are the soda, and they put in those ingredients in the gym. You know, their character, their dedication to the sport, and then they provide the refreshment of the entertainment when they actually step into the cage. And these guys need to remember that they are the reason that the sport exists.